Hi, I'm Beth. I'm the sewing pattern designer and blogger at Sew DIY. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to stitch the curved hem of my Lela skirt pattern. This skirt has two different curved hems. One is kind of a more exaggerated U shape, and then one is kind of like a loaf of bread, kind of. It's a little smaller, but I've curved it just enough so that you can turn it twice and stitch it down, and so that you don't need a facing or a bias facing to finish this hem. So it's not too hard to do, but I do have a couple of little tricks to help you achieve this nice curved hem. So let's start sewing. So here I have my skirt, and I have finished the side seams and I've stitched the side seam, and I'm going to press my pockets to the front and then clip the side seam of the back and press it open below that pocket. So when you stitch the side seam, you'll want to stitch down to the square marking on the pattern and then back stitch. And if you're thinking about moving that marking, or if you're just not sure that the slit is in the right location, I recommend trying on the skirt, just basting it first and then trying it on and testing how comfortable it is to walk. If the split is too small, then it might be hard to walk. So that's the one thing you want to look out for. So in the instructions, it tells you to go ahead and sew the waistband after this, but for this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do the hem. You can do whatever order works for you. So here I have finished the seams down all the way to where it starts to curve, and I didn't finish this because it will be folded in and doesn't need to be finished with the serging stitches. So I've also sewn a line of basting stitches 1/4 of an inch from the raw edge. And a basting stitch is a very long straight stitch. So to get started, we are going to fold along that basting stitch and press. So the basting stitch is going to give us a little guide for that 1/4 inch fold, and it's going to help us press in along this curve. So I designed the curve of this pattern that it's not too curved, so you can still fold it in twice, but it does take a little bit of manipulation. So we're just going to press all the way. And over on this edge, I usually fold it in a little bit, and then where it approaches the split, I just let it kind of unfold naturally. And this section is usually not too visible while you're wearing it. So if you want to, you could leave this serged edge visible, like whatever you want to do. So let's put some pins in here. Hold this in place. And then let's go back to our middle. I like to do the easier parts first. So we're going to fold it another 1/4 of an inch. And whenever you're pressing, it's a good idea to do a test on a scrap of fabric before you actually touch the iron to your garment, just to make sure you don't burn your fabric. So I'm just putting pins in to hold this in place. And now as I get closer to this curved edge, it's going to get a little more challenging. You can see this fabric did not take my first pressing very well. So what I'm going to do to encourage this to fold over one more time is use a pin to grab this basting thread, and then I'm going to pull on that basting thread, and it's going to gather the fabric a little bit. So we don't actually want to create wrinkles, and we'll kind of press those out, but we want to encourage the fabric to fold over. All right. Oh. It escaped me. Come here. It's a good little fabric. Okay. And some fabrics will press better than this one. Come here. And you might press it and then pull that basting stitch again. Just manipulate it a little bit. All right. Kind of tucking it in. Oh, that's looking good. All right. Oh, no, come back. It looked good for 1 sec. Okay, I need to pull this a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna grab one of these. My pins that have the little balls are glass head pins, which are really nice because they won't melt when you touch them with the iron. So you can just press right over the top. These bigger ones are plastic heads, and those will definitely melt, so you have to be really careful. So you want to go ahead and do this all the way around the edge of your skirt and then take it over to the sewing machine. So I have this whole hem pinned in place and I'm ready to stitch it. You could baste some of these things first and then go back and top stitch, but I just top stitch right off the bat. Whether you do it wrong side up or right side up is personal preference. I've had some machines that don't have very pretty stitching from the bobbin but look better from the top. This one's pretty much the same. Like, really just do whatever works best for you. I'm just going to use my regular foot. You could also use a 1/4 inch foot, whatever works best for you. So let's just start in the middle and let's see. So I'm using a straight stitch and it's a little bit longer than the default. It's about 3.0. So when you're top stitching, you might want to go a little bit slower than normal just to make sure that you are stitching evenly and accurately. I like to stitch as close to the folded edge as possible. And if we have pressed everything really evenly, then that stitch is going to be an even distance from the hem all the way around. Sometimes I will take out the basting stitches that I used for this curved edge, but that's only if I think they're being bothersome. So again, like, totally up to you. It's your skirt. All right, so here we are approaching our split hem. And let's just hold that in place. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go a few stitches past the split in the seam and then lift my presser foot and pivot. Lower that presser foot and then try to stitch an equal amount across to the other side. Okay, lift the presser foot, pivot again, and we'll just keep going all the way around. So my camera cut out as I was stitching the hem, but I think we got all of the important parts. You just want to top stitch around those curves and then pivot around where the split hem is, and then keep going and repeat on the other side. That's it. I hope that you found the video helpful. If you haven't purchased the pattern yet, I will put a link to my shop down in the show notes, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. Happy sewing!